All right. This is pretty wild. Whenever the U.S. Army has to ground their helicopters, it's never a good thing, but it's always with good intentions. So let's sort of break down what's going on and try to make light of this situation. So as you guys can see, Army grounds helicopter fleet for force-wide safety stand down. So pretty much in the last couple of months, we've had really bad accidents involving helicopters, and there are investigations being done right now. And this happened on state side, so state soil type stuff. Happened during training. Yeah, right now, the U.S. Army wants to put all the helicopters down, and they want to do some sort of safety briefs. They want to make sure what everyone's doing is good to go. And the very difficult thing about helicopters in the U.S. Army is that it's not only all about the pilots, it's also everybody's involved. Crew chiefs, the soldiers who go into the helicopters and fly everywhere, everyone, there is standardized training with all of this. So McConville, who's in charge of all of this, he's the one who made the order to put all the helicopters down. And they have until May 5th to do some sort of safety brief or safety training. McConville even said, as an aviator himself, described safety as our top priority. And this stand down is an important step to make certain we are doing everything possible to prevent accidents and protect our personnel. The general also added that the training program will focus on safety and training protocols to ensure our pilots and crews have the knowledge, training, and awareness to safety complete their assigned missions. Dang. That is wild. Now, what's crazy is back in 2015, this exact same thing happened. When I was in the Army in 2015, we had active duty. This is back in 2015. Active duty aviators at 11 Army installations across the U.S. will undergo a safety stand down. And this is during, like, the wars. We had 3 deadly helicopter crashes in 10 days. And that was really freaky because being in the 101st Airborne and you have helicopters flying 24/7, it was eerily quiet. It got really quiet at Fort Campbell. But this was the exact same thing. They had to put all the helicopters down. They have to give out safety briefs. They have to make sure our pilot's well rested. Are we doing something wrong? Are we not getting good training across the board? And this has nothing to do with the competency of the pilots. Many people will point to why our pilots crashing. We have some of the best pilots in the world. In no way, shape, or form am I saying that. But when I was doing my research for this video, what's really crazy is there was an article that came out from a watchdog group, and it was posted on Army Times. It says, Watchdog warns guard pilots not getting enough hours to fly safely. And that's concerning, and that's always been a really big issue between National Guard, Reserve, and Active. There doesn't seem to be this massive standardization of training or how much training you get, and that's to no one's fault. Like, if you're a National Guard pilot, you're just not going to get as much training as an active duty service member. You just don't have the funds, you just don't have the time, and that's just the way it is. But this is a little concerning. It says so right here. The Army National Guard and Air National Guard's helicopter units are struggling to maintain required flight hours and adhere to safety standards, according to a watchdog agency published on Wednesday, and this is in April. Although the Army Guard has suffered a lower rate of major crashes than active duty force, Government Accountability Office officials indicated the shortcomings are translated into pilot error, including mishaps. The report reviewed crash investigations between 2012 and 2021. Watchdog officials also conducted interviews with aviation personnel and reviewed other documents. The stakes are high. 45 series helicopter crashes killed 28 Guard personnel during the study, which is not good. Losses have occurred more recently as well. In February, 2 Tennessee National Guard pilots died, and this is why everything is essentially grounded. So, yeah, now we have an issue here. And this will always be an issue between National Guard and active duty. Is there going to be some sort of standardization? The safety brief, also what the main general is saying, it's just going to be flight planning, risk assessment, maintenance, and air crew training. Because again, it's not only on the pilots, it's the whole team to keep everything together. Crew chiefs, mechanics, everybody. Fuelers, are you doing the right thing? So this is going to be a multi-ship operation. The Army official specified in addition safety statistics and trends. Active duty aviators must complete the 24-hour stand down and training by next Friday, which is going to be May 5th. National Guard and Army Reserve units have until May 31st. Again, here's a big difference. It's pretty interesting to see this. In active duty, you have until May 5th. But in the National Guard, you have until May 31st. And again, this all has to do with time constraints and when you go to work and don't go to work. And of course, once all of the training is done, flight status, good to go. You got to have a green flight status. And like I had stated before, the last known aviation stand down occurred in 2015. That's when I was in the Army. And it only happened because of all the crashes that we had. And in no way, shape, or form did anybody say like pilots were incompetent. I think it was just a freak thing. But no matter what, the Army always has to cover their butt and make sure everything's okay. But yeah, that's currently what's going on right now. The U.S. Army had to stand down all of their helicopters due to unfortunate events in the last couple months. We had crashes that did make the news, and it was a pretty big deal. And the Army needs to investigate. No one's putting all the blame on the pilots. We're not putting the blame on the Army, but there has to be standards in place and there has to be training in place. And I think sometimes a total stand down is not always a bad thing. We're not in the middle of a conflict right now, so we can sort of get away with it. But the one back in 2015 was a little freaky because there was a lot of training going on for the Afghanistan war. So that one was like they had to get that one done fast. So maybe it's a blessing in disguise we can get away with this. But yeah, I'm glad that the Army, they are taking steps to actually do the right thing, and hopefully the safety brief will be a good thing and we won't have any more accidents. So yeah, that's what's going on right now. That's why all of our helicopters are currently down and out of the fight until May 5th and until the end of the month if you are the National Guard.